Hello, welcome back to Have Medium with me, Diana, your psychic girl in the material world. As you saw from the title, I am talking about 3 books that made me a more confident woman. It did more than make me confident, but I'm going to talk about, the confidence part of it. So, starting off is As a Woman Thinketh. And the original book is As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. This is transcribed for women by Dorothy J. Hulst. And this book is one that my father gave me and my siblings as teenagers. I love it because look how small it is. So easy to read. I feel like it was so valuable that he gave this to us because it showed us that we had the power to direct our thoughts and our energy, right? So a lot of folks that walk around and they feel like life is just happening at them and to them, and they have to react accordingly. They don't really know that they have the power to direct their thoughts and their energy, right? And especially for as a young person, like it's even though I got this as a teenager, it's a constant, continuous journey for me to mind my thoughts, right? Especially when I get upset. Most of us, right? We can want to react, but it's important that we know that sometimes just reacting to the appearance is not the most beneficial thing to do. Now, if you're in a moment of like a bear attacking you, you may want to react fast, right? However, there are so many scenarios when we can just kind of simmer down a bit and be intentional with our thinking, right? It's like, when it's a fire drill or something and they always say, be calm, right? Walk slowly, right? That's much safer than for everyone to freak out and end up tumbling and falling all over each other. And then it's a bigger issue, right? So while some moments may feel like that's the moment to panic and kind of be all over the place and just react, there are moments like you have to be able to pause and be intentional with your thinking. So this book was one of my faves. I had a whole like women's group with my friends like in my early 20s. I feel kind of bad because my job at the time, I made copies. I was like, at the time I said, oh, it's a little book. It's okay. I shouldn't have done that, but I made copies of this book and I got my girls over and I like created like a little group for us to go over it. Right. And it's good to have these because you can like revisit it, anytime, because it's a daily life journey to monitor our thoughts, right? So I highlighted a quote in this book, so I'll read it to you guys. But yeah, this is the first one that helped me with building my confidence as a woman and my ability to decide how I want to direct my life. So this is this the first chapter? No, maybe okay, it's the second chapter. But so I'll just read. This is from As a Woman Thinketh. A woman's mind may be likened to a garden, which may be intelligently cultivated or allowed to run wild. But whether cultivated or neglected, it must and will bring forth. If no useful seeds are put into it, then an abundance of useless weed seeds will fall therein and will continue to produce their kind. And so this is really about, what it's 2 things, but the main thing is what seeds are you planting, right? And allowing them to flourish, like it's, our mind is not just this thing that receives thoughts and receives ideas and different things. Like we can have a say so in what is planted, right? And say something gets planted and you don't even realize that it gets planted because it's like a garden. What can you do in the garden? If you notice weeds that are kind of choking your crop, then you can go in and uproot the weeds. Even if you may not know where the weeds came from, right? And that's okay. You don't have to know where they came from, but you know that they're present and you can remove them to allow the good seed to produce and grow, right? And so really, really being intentional with the seeds that are planted. And I want to say, it just came to my mind, like mornings, like being mindful of what you plant in the mornings is so important. It really does set the tone for the day. Because when things come up, then you have already planted what needs to be planted so that you can experience those things in a different way, right? Like the other day, something happened. I was out on my morning drive, and baby, when I say I was frustrated the entire day, I was doing everything in my power. So what I did was, even though the stuff was happening, even though I was feeling the angst in my body, I kept saying, today is still a great day. I'm still claiming goodness. I'm still claiming da 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 da. And I claimed it the whole day, even though inside of me, I was still feeling frazzled. I said, nah, I claim this as a great day, right? And by the end of the night, it took all day. But by the end of the night, I felt much better. And the next morning when I got up, I was really intentional about how I was going to carry my energy for the day. And the next day, similar events happened on my drive, but I experienced them completely different. And I was at peace all day. Even though the same thing happened, I was at peace, right? So, really being mindful of the seeds we plant, but how we start our day, is important. And if you start the day kind of funky, that's all right. Just pick a moment somewhere in the day to plant a new seed, right? And planting seeds or having seeds available could be you having an affirmation or multiple affirmations in your phone. I have affirmations that I've written for different categories. And if I'm feeling a little stressed or overwhelmed in that area, I will just open the app and look at that affirmation, right? No matter what it looks like on the outside, I am abundant. I am blessed. I am whatever affirmation I need in that moment, right? So finding good seeds, planting good seeds, and knowing that you don't have to just accept the weeds that may be planted around you. You don't have to accept those, right? So, great book. I'm pretty sure you can find this on Amazon. But yeah, so this is the first one. Second book. This is a book I said has been in my life, my whole life. But, I got my own book, but my mom had this book. And it's by Louise Hay, and it's called You Can Heal Your Life. I have a quote from here, but the thing about this book, so in the back of it, Louise has a list. It's like a library. I don't know what you would call it. But so for different ailments that happen in the body, she has an affirmation for it. And then she also has like a potential emotional cause of said issue. So like, let's see, for example, shoulders. If you have like issues with your shoulders, it says, represents our ability to carry out experiences in life joyously. We make life a burden by our attitude. And the affirmation to counter that is, I choose to allow all my experiences to be joyous and loving, right? Sinus problems, irritation to one person, someone close. And the affirmation is, I declare peace and harmony, indwell me and surround me at all times. All is well. And so like with this, I used to, if I didn't feel good, I'd be like, oh, let me go to You Can Heal Your Life and see what's going on. Right. And so what this did for me was it empowered me to know that there is an emotional, spiritual, mind connection to the body. Again, a lot of times people will go through something physically And they think, well, this is just what I have. This is just what it is, right? And yes, you have some conditions where that person, it probably was, part of their contract. I don't know. Spiritual contract, so to speak, where they came in with a certain condition. And that's what it is. But there are a lot of things in the body. Number one, that's created by fear, right? Not feeling supported, like you notice how, like, if you are super, super, super stressed, then your immune system is weaker and you're more likely to maybe like catch a cold or something, right? So the power of this book, you can get the book and you can look at the emotional causes and the affirmations. It's a lot more in this book. Like I said, I'll read a quote. But just having the awareness that you can potentially shift your body by shifting your internal way of being, right? Like we all know, if a person like is overstressed, what can they have? A heart attack or high blood pressure. When you are stressed out and you check your blood pressure, hey, it may be up, right? So we all know that there is some connection to how we manage ourselves emotionally to our physical body. And if you continuously stress and stress and stress and put pressure on your heart because your blood pressure is up, then that can create a bigger health issue. So this book was so powerful to me. And I promise you, as a kid, we would go get this book and we did not feel good. And we would try to figure out what can we do, right? But outside of what she puts right in the book, so far as the different ailments, just knowing that I can shift my thoughts around my health or myself, knowing that can change things, it was like, oh, okay, that's good to know. Like, for example, the last time I got sick was April of 2023. I believe it was April. Baby, when I say I was sick, it was so bad. And I completely lost my voice. Like, my voice was so gone, right? And so first of all, I said, I'm good on this. I don't ever have to do this again. And when I say I meant that with every fiber of my being, I meant that. Like, my voice was gone. It was like a cold times a million. It was so bad. It wasn't the flu, because I went and got tested. It was just something that was going around, and it was so terrible. And I said, this won't happen to me again. I'm not about to get sick anymore. I'm straight. And I meant that. I'm telling you, I meant that with every fiber of my being. And I think the worst I've had since then was like a little tickle in my throat. My nose itch. But I have been fine. So I had that one determination. But the other thing is, I had to say to myself, because I had a lot going on at that time. I was feeling really burdened, stressed out financially. And I said, Diana, I just intuitively knew that part of what was going on was I wasn't feeling supported in life. And sometimes if we don't feel supported in life, then we may come down with something, and that forces others to take care of us, even if it's somebody in the hospital to take care of us. But it forces somebody to show some support if we feel just like we are not supported at all. And I was really feeling just burned out and overwhelmed, and like I couldn't manage things, right? And so I don't know if you've ever seen like where a person can be going through something and then it's like one thing piles on top of the other, right? And that's how I was feeling. Like I had a situation with my car, just so many things. And so when I got sick like that, I stepped back because of this book, letting me know that there is a mind-body connection. I not only determined that I wasn't going to get sick again, But I also had to say what created this level of sickness that I would experience something, because it was pretty drastic and it lasted for weeks. And at that time, my primary source of income was Uber. And, with Uber, you don't drive, you don't make money, right? So I wasn't making money. I was behind, and I just determined within myself, one, that I had to affirm to myself, I am supported. I am safe. Everything is okay. I had to connect in for me, like my root chakra, and really, no matter what it looked like on the outside, I had to tell myself that I am safe. I am supported. I am safe. I am supported. And I promise you, from then, I have not gotten sick at all. And, another thing I did with my body, now I still try not, I don't necessarily need to have a lot of dairy, right? But I went a period of, I don't know how many years where if I had dairy, I was sick instantly. Like my stomach, it was bad, right? But I decided I didn't want that. Like I literally just decided I don't want to get sick when I have dairy. Like I remember just being sick, sweating, hot, it was terrible. So I determined within myself, no, I don't agree with this. I don't agree with this. And so I just made that decision. And I remember having a dream that I was eating ice cream and I felt perfectly fine eating the ice cream. And I was like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about, right? And so I don't know how long it took, but I don't know, maybe a year, less. I really can't tell you exactly how long it was, but I was very determined within myself that having ice cream would not get me that level of sick, or like macaroni, just having dairy. I was like, this is not for me, right? And so I don't know, one day, so I had that dream. I remember I had that dream, and not too long afterwards, I went to my sister's house and I had an ice cream sandwich and it was delicious. And I didn't get sick. I was perfectly fine. And from that time up to today, if I have ice cream, I don't get sick. Now, if I have too much dairy, I may get a little bit of like congestion or in my chest some, but not much. Like I'm fine, but I used to get really sick. But I was like, no, I'm good. I don't need that. And I meant that wholeheartedly. Whereas somebody else was like, oh, yeah, no, I can't have that. And that's it. And they just accept it. Well, I have a little bit of a stubborn spirit about myself. And so I was like, nah. So this book showed me that I can make decisions about my body and how I want it to be, right? So really powerful book. I'll just read this quick quote for you guys. So this one is says, make a decision to be willing to change. If you really want to know how stubborn you are, just approach the idea of being willing to change. We all want to have our lives change, to have situations become better and easier, but we don't want to have to change. We would prefer that they change. In order to have this happen, we must change inside. We must change our way of thinking, change our way of speaking, change our way of expressing ourselves. Only then will our outer change occur. Only then will our outer change occur. Just want to make sure I said that right. So, yeah. Great little blurb from the book. Our willingness to change. And not just wait for something on the outside to change, because really the change starts within. Our thoughts, our habits, internally absolutely affect our outside. Absolutely. So another great one, a lot of goodies in here. Like I said, the part with the different like ailments, that's towards the back of the book, but there's a lot more to it. Right? Different, look, like this chapter, how to change, like it's a lot more to it. So that's that. And the last one, number 3, is by Joyce Meyer, and it is called Power Thoughts. When I say I love this lady, I love her so much. And she is a Christian speaker and writer. You may not be Christian. You don't have to be Christian. She gives it to you straight. That's why I love her, because she gives practical tools on mastering the mind, right? What's the whole title? It's Power Thoughts, 12 Strategies to Win the Battle of the Mind. And she really empowers us to, again, take control of our thought life, not letting just any old negative thing drop in unchallenged, right? And she'll talk about, like, you got to speak out loud to whatever's going on, right? Like, no, and I will do that, right? So it's 12 strategies, and each chapter has, what do you call it? I'm sorry, I'm just trying to see what, like a phrase that goes with it. So like the title of each chapter is like also like a phrase or affirmation, essentially. So I wrote down each one from each chapter. Now this book I'm almost done with. I might right at the end. But like this one is, I am difficult to offend. That's this chapter. When I first heard her talk about this, and my first time reading this chapter, like, I am difficult to offend, that was so powerful to me. I didn't even mean to share this chapter with you. I have another quote, but like learning, because I'm the type, I don't like injustices. I don't like when people do things that I find to not be fair, and it could be for other people, not like towards me. And when I read that, it was like, you got to chill out, Diana. You got to chill out. You got to give people more grace. And you also have to give yourself grace by not being easily upset and offended when something happens, right? And also knowing that just because somebody did something a certain way in the past, if someone else comes and does the same thing, it doesn't mean that they have ill intentions, right? You can't be so defensive. And I'm going to be honest, like, I feel like part of it is like being from the south side of Chicago. Sometimes you had to be on defense mode often, right? Like, you may have your guard down, somebody does something, and then you like, oh, that's not happening to me again. Never again, right? And so something where it may not even be a big deal, you may, like for me, like build up defenses, so then being offended easily can happen, but that can create a barrier to connection, right? So that's a great chapter in this book. Like I said, I didn't even plan on talking about that, but it just, I happened to open it up, and it was a great chapter. So, but what I did want to read is, here we go. The continual ongoing process of renewing the mind extends to every aspect of your thinking. If you are like most people, many areas of your mind need to be renewed. These may include the way you think about yourself, your finances, your health, your family, time management, vacations and recreation, your job, your future, or any multitude of other topics. So, she talks about further, like, you may feel like you've renewed your mind in one way, but also extend that out and think about just different areas of your life where you could renew your mind. Like, celebrate and honor where you have renewed your mind, but also be mindful of other areas. Like, our lives are made up of so many categories. We play so many different roles. We have so many different things we have to do, sometimes on a daily basis, that sometimes we can get complacent or have like a blind eye to different things, where we're thinking, oh, we're coasting in this area, but we may need to look at some things. So having an open awareness that it's okay to check in with yourself in different areas. And sometimes, challenge your belief systems. Sometimes we'll say, this is how I am. That's just what it is, right? But it's okay to challenge yourself, right? To say, yeah, this is how I am, but how well is this truly serving me? How is this truly serving those around me? You know? And not holding tight to certain identities or thought patterns if it's not truly benefiting us, right? Recognize if it's a defense that's being held on to, right? Sometimes we'll say, like, oh, I don't want to expect the best because what do they say? Expect the best, prepare for the worst. Like, we may hold back on expecting good things. Really, we may say expect for the best but prepare for the worst, but really it's like a backup, right? Because we're trying to defend against something that maybe happened in the past, and so we're like, I'm just gonna be prepared. But sometimes it's okay to just relax and know that you are safe. You know, I think that's the thing with a lot of folks in the world today. They don't feel safe for different reasons, right? And so with not feeling safe, defenses can go up. But yeah, like, check some of your assumptions. Check your assumptions. Really consider them and think if they really serve you or not. But yes, the true key to being confident is being confident that you are totally in control of your thought life. You get to make a decision. You get to choose. You know, I hear a lot of people talk about like having ADHD or ADD. Honey, let me tell you something. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody wanted to label me as that. But I use that attention span of mine to get multiple things done. Right? And so it's like just reframing some things, you know, reframing how we think about ourselves instead of saying, oh, I have a short attention span, so I can never get things done. It's like, oh, I have a short attention span, so let me dedicate 15 minutes to this project today, right? And then 15 minutes tomorrow, and then 10 minutes Friday, and then 5 minutes Sunday, right? Taking advantage of that short attention span while still being productive. But you may not be able to sit for an hour, and that's okay. But you can give it 5 minutes today, right? You can give it a 3-minute scroll on the phone, right? So it's like reframing our thoughts and knowing that we have the strength and the power to reframe how we experience the world, you know, and it really shifts things. It really does. So I hope that was helpful. So the books were Power Thoughts by Joyce Meyer, You Can Heal Your Life, Louise Hay, and As a Woman Thinketh by James Allen, and Dorothy J. Hulse. So I hope that was helpful. For those of you who don't know, every podcast episode, I pull a card of the day. Most of you all on like Spotify and Apple, y'all are used to just hearing my voice, but you get to see me now. But you guys know I always pull a card for the day. And so the card that I pulled today is from my I Be Knowing deck. And it is card 11, Ignore Everyone Else's Opinions. Now, how perfect is that? And y'all, I shuffle my deck for the cards. I don't like cherry pick. So this is like perfect. Ignore everyone else's opinions. Going back to the beginning of this episode, letting go of any weeds that anybody may want to plant, right? You plant the seeds that you want to grow and flourish, and you tend to your garden, your mind, and ignore whatever anybody else wants to. Somebody may say, no, girl, you need to grow some tomatoes. You like, I want bell peppers. But tomatoes are good for you, but I want bell peppers. But tomatoes are good on this. I want bell peppers. If you want tomatoes, then you can plant tomatoes in your own garden. But I'm planting bell peppers in mine, right? Tend to your garden, right? Value it and know that you can create something so beautiful, right? So, yes, ignore everyone else's opinions. I love you all. I hope that this episode was helpful. And you guys know I always say, be you, embrace you, and love you. And I'll see you later. Thanks. Bye.